Hello and welcome to the Grand Union Canal at Cosgrove. A few weeks ago I put out a video where I was cruising along the GU with Emma Chernovsky and we went past a narrowboat which on the face of it looks like a working boat. It was called Narrowboat Dover and I said, do you know, I really must do a video about that because although it looks like a working boat, inside is a completely different story. Well, various people said, yes, we'd be interested in that. So that is why I'm here today.
Here's a look at the boat again. Just under 72 feet long, with most of the length covered in tarpaulins, as if it were carrying cargo underneath in a massive hold. And indeed, that's how it started out.
Dover was built in 1937 by Harland and Wolff of Woolwich, and it worked for the Grand Union Canal Company and ran between Bullsbridge and Birmingham, and then usually from Birmingham to Coventry to pick up coal, and then Coventry back to London to drop the coal off down there. So it took raw materials from London to Birmingham and coal from Birmingham to London. Dover was a change boat, so it didn't have a permanent crew. It was there when other boats were being worked on. The crew from that boat got on Dover, used Dover as the motor, so it was basically like a car loan. Dover would have looked pretty much the same as it does at the moment. It had a cabin on the back, a removable top plank and stands and canvas over the top of that. Dover's canvas now looks like it, basically like how it used to, but is a very different design.
But here's the thing. Underneath that working facade actually lies a fully converted home where Steve and his partner live full-time. It was bought by accident when they went to look at a completely different boat, despite it being £35,000 above their budget. And it's a lot more light inside than you'd imagine, with the tarps able to be rolled up panel by panel, leaving a mesh like a net curtain, which means they can see out while it's hard for anyone outside to see in. In fact, there are 3 layers of canvas. One along the roof contains the rolled-down zipped covers. A second layer runs up from the gunnels secured by paracord. The third layer runs from gunnel to gunnel over the top board and has the mesh for the windows stitched in. The windows slide for ventilation too, plus there are blinds that slide up and down for each pane to keep prying eyes out and warmth in. The boat's well known for featuring in a TV show in 2005 where it was restored and refitted. But that refit was itself completely stripped out and redone in 2012 to what you see today. Some folk like it, others hate it. For Steve and Sue, and their dog, it was love at first sight, even if handling a very long boat can be a challenge.
There are a few locks where a 71.5 foot boat, I believe there's one on the Birmingham Faisy where you've got to go down backwards to get the stem of the boat over the sill and go out backwards downhill, but I've not actually done that one. Some locks are a bit tight to get the gates shut behind the boat, and on the Kennet and Avon, now we've got a butty, we'd have to do them singly because you can't get 2 72 foot boats and shut one of the gates. You have to go through one gate, move the boat over, shut the other gate. So you can share with a shorter boat because you can still shut the gate, but you can't share with 270. We found out this when we tried to share a lock with a motor, another large Woolwich motor called Widgeon. Got the one boat in, shoved it, shut the one gate, shuffled across, got the other boat in, and then there was no way, not lifting buttons, not lifting the tip cats, you couldn't get the other gate past the boat, so we had to do it separately. There are a couple of locks on the Kennet and Avon where you have to also do diagonally because you can't get the boat shut, the gate shut behind the boat, and you can't actually get clear of the sill unless you're diagonal.
As Steve mentioned, the couple have now made life even more complex by buying an unpowered butty they tow alongside or behind. But it does bring benefits when it comes to mooring.
We've now got a butty which we can use as a very big fender because the butty only draws 18 inches, whereas Dover draws 3 foot, so we were quite limited in where we could actually get alongside. Many places we can get the front in, but then the back was still 4 or 5 foot stick out in the canal before it would actually, and it wouldn't actually come in any further. So we could get on and off the boat at the front, but at the back I had to traverse across the top of the roof to get to the front to get off the boat. So, because you can't get from the front to the back of Dover, it still has the full size or full width bulkhead at the back, which would have been the rear of the cargo hold. So there's no corridor between the engine room and the main bit of the boat.
Let's get back inside and finish the tour then. In the corner of the saloon by the bow doors is a cupboard for general storage like books, DVDs and such like. Above, a pair of walkie-talkies, useful when you're towing with the other steerer 70 plus feet away. Keeping the boat toasty is a traditional wood-burning stove, whose chimney has to go through a contorted twist to get to the ceiling. There's also more modern-style radiator heating as well, fed by a diesel range, which you'll see in a moment. An L-shaped dinette is the next space, with enough room for comfortable dining, even with guests aboard. A bookshelf opposite is narrow enough not to intrude. Looking back then, you see the dinette and saloon forming the front portion of the accommodation. Unsurprisingly, the galley adjoins the dinette, with lots of slim cupboards for storage, as well as the aforementioned diesel range, which replaced 5 different types of diesel heater, and provides heating, cooking and hot water all in one. They run non-stop generally, and are a love 'em or hate 'em type of device. The worktops are crowded with a decent selection of gin, as well as general kitchen miscellany. A Belfast sink sits amongst solid wooden worktop counter space, which also finds itself the home to further odds and sods. There's a small fridge too. Above, the lighting the length of the boat is LED, but the central plank is actually a secondary one, underneath the one that forms the true roof, covered by canvas. There's insulation between the two. Behind the galley is a bathroom, split across 2 sides of a central corridor, with a shower enclosure on one side, where water drains under this wooden rack and is pumped away. Opposite features a sink with cupboard under. And there are 2 toilets, a pump-out tank system, as well as a portable chemical loo for emergencies. From here you can see the final room this side of the end bulkhead, and no surprise it's the bedroom, with the bed spanning the width of the boat, which in this case is a slightly larger than normal 7 feet, albeit less once you take the internal trim into account. Modern narrowboats are only 6 feet 10 wide. Behind that bulkhead, formed as cupboards, is the engine room and boatman's cabin at the rear of the boat. In other words, that bit, which you can only enter from the back. When you do, this is the scene. A traditional boatman's cabin followed by a full-blown engine room. The cabin has its own stove in the corner, cupboards that fold down to form a bed, and a seat or single berth along the side. But what about the heart of the machine, the engine? Operated by traditional wheel and gear lever, it's a bit of a beast.
Dover has got a 2-cylinder, 18 horsepower diesel engine. 18 horsepower doesn't sound very much, but it's got an awful lot of torque. It runs absolutely flat out at 1,000 revs, so that's nothing. Cruising speed is about 400, 500 revs. That is a Russell Newbery 2-cylinder diesel DM2, and it's around about 2,600 cc's, I think. So that's 1,300 cc's per cylinder.
Like most boats of this vintage, the engine's fed by a diesel day tank, fed from the main tank by a hand-worked pump, as Steve is now demonstrating. Gravity then drips the fuel to the engine. A quick squirt of oil and the heart of the boat is ready to pump.
I think it's always had engine trouble, because the only record I've managed to find on film of Dover was a newsreel called Here Go the Boats. Part of it, they're in the office, dispatch office at Bulls Bridge, and you can see down Dover and Chipstead are marked down as being in dock, engine trouble, so aren't available for travel.
The exhaust exits vertically, the rough mechanical whump replaced by a much more musical ka-thump outside. The feeling you get with a boat like this is one of granite-like solidity, being built entirely from riveted steel plate, 7,000 rivets apparently, although the original riveted base has been replaced with welded plate. While we're discussing engineering marvels, how about this solar panel bracket which Steve rigged up so that he can mount panels on both sides for maximum coverage, but tilt them on either side to either side, maximising his power returns. And he'll need that power as the Butty boat is being turned into a workshop space.
Two boats was a bit of a learning curve, because we had to learn. I just about got happy with being able to control Dover and make it do what I wanted, stop when I wanted, turn around when I wanted, reverse. And all of a sudden I bought another boat and it's start from scratch. It is so different.
I've hopefully got a video all about the intricacies of narrowboat towing coming up fairly soon, as there is a formal assessment and training process you can go through. Meanwhile, thanks for watching. Cheerio.